acquisition, $600 million. And then you're also Uber driving.
I don't need that money, and fucking Uber doesn't pay.
Did you face any issues whenever you said, I'm from Sri Lanka?
Number one objection was, where the hell is Sri Lanka? Why are you there? Some dude shows up in a sarong or long hair. They'll be like, hey, Mogo. That dignity is the biggest thing for me. It's why people want to leave the country. The WSO2 way of working is we don't have a limit on how many days you can take off. We have one fundamental rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. People who worry about this don't get it. They're worrying about bringing people's mind and body to work. They will never win with that mindset. So I don't like this word talent. There's a bunch of jackasses going on in the world. I don't need teachers. I don't need schools. I just ChatGPT or Gemini. Goal in being international world-class cricket is not to win every match. Is to be competent and capable that people want to watch the game. I want to build a company that can last forever. There's somebody in Sri Lanka who can do the job, got the right intellectual capacity. I want to give all the opportunities.
If you were to give them one piece of advice to look at the potential of Sri Lanka, what would you tell them? Sanjiva Weerawarna, welcome to the podcast. You were talking about talent and the innovation can be found in Sri Lanka, right? Which is because the mainstream narrative, from what I've heard growing up in Sri Lanka, being in and out of Sri Lanka, I hear like you need to go abroad. You need to leave the country. You need to develop your skills there, make a better life. But you're a firm believer that whatever you do, whatever industry you're in, that you can actually find that talent. You can actually nurture that talent here.
Yeah, I think to me, it's simple statistics. If you have enough people together, there will always be a small percentage that is best in the world class, let's say, right? So 300,000 people in Maldives, probably not enough to find, a world-class physicist, a world-class chemist, a world-class filmmaker. Probably not, too small. India, massive, right? China, massive. Sri Lanka, 20 million, we are beyond that threshold. Ireland has only 6 million people. New Zealand has only like 3 million people and 6 million sheep. So there is a minimum threshold. We are beyond that point. So yes, absolutely. Any topic, there will be a world-class person. What they don't get is the opportunity. They don't get the environment. They don't get the support. Things that you need ideas are cheap. Execution is not. Anybody can get up in the morning and have an idea. But to get it up and running and working, you need all kinds of other stuff. And that's where people are struggling.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, if you do wake up that one morning and you have that idea, isn't it easier if you're in a country that already has those facilities, that infrastructure? So why did you choose to push for Sri Lanka to have? Because
then how would you ever create that environment here? If everybody who can to go, I had a green card in the US. I lived in the US for 16 years. I could have stayed on forever. I would have stayed in IBM. I would have done well, probably. I could have started a company there. I was pressured so many times to move back to the US. So many investors, I would say of the 150 plus investors I directly pitched to. First of all, only 4 of them said yes, right? We never had options in any of our funding rounds except the last time we were bought by a private equity firm. There was only one option on the table, right? And the number one objection was, where the hell is Sri Lanka and why are you there? You got to move. Right now, the mindset, even in India, the mindset is, hey, you're going to build a tech company, real tech company, not a consumer tech company targeting local market, but an enterprise tech or global wide tech. You got to be in the US. So like, well, okay, yes, I totally get it. If you're there, it's easier. But then how do you make a change if you just do that? I don't like that. One of the main purpose of starting WSO2 was to show that we could build a company from here. There's no option. I'm never going to go back. I'm done.
Yeah. What is the pushback that you've had or initially with selecting specifically Sri Lanka? Because I mean, there's India also.
It was never it was never a matter of choice about, well, what's the cheap country we can go to? This is a Sri Lankan company. So question doesn't arise. Right? This is a Sri Lankan company.
And you positioned it in that way because, and obviously you've shaped the narrative, right? A Sri Lankan company now carries some sort of weight, I'm presuming, as you go to these other countries and you're saying, yeah, WSO2 is a Sri Lankan country. But did you face any issues whenever you said, okay, I'm from Sri Lanka? Was there ever like people looked at it a certain way? Like, honestly,
all the time.
Yeah.
Even now.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even with all of the successes that you've had, you still face that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first guy who bet on WSO2 was a guy called Pradeep Tagare. He was at Intel Capital.
Okay.
He invested $4 million. And we were always getting this. Whenever we try to raise money, everybody's like, what is this Sri Lanka business, right? And then he used to tell, well, when you get to $10 million in revenue, you'll get over that. Got to $10 million in revenue, didn't get over that. We got 20 million, didn't get over that. 50 million, didn't get over that. We are now more than $100 million in revenue. And still no. Still, it's like, if, the leadership should be in the US. And this is like, yeah, you can have cheap people here, no problem. But not the thinking people. Yeah, I'm like, the hell? I want the best person wherever they are. I don't care where they are. Right? And I want to give, if there's somebody in Sri Lanka who can do the job, who's capable, who's got the right intellectual capacity, I want to give all the opportunity. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm saying we won't hire, as a company, we compete with everybody in the world, all over the world, the best companies in the world. So if you put one hand behind your back, you're not going to win. Right? If you want to fight, you fight all in. So I am not saying we won't hire somebody somewhere else. That's stupid.
You're not looking at that DEI perspective.
No, absolutely not. Right? It's like reverse DEI. We outsource what we can't find kind of mindset, right? I'm probably going to get in trouble for that kind of, but I don't care. DEI is dead anyway, so. Yeah. We're in the Trump era.
That is good. Was it ever, when you started here in Sri Lanka, was it challenging to train people up, or was the talent already available for you?
So I don't like this word talent. I know it's a big word everybody uses. I don't like that word. I don't even know what that word means. What does it mean? You know stuff coming in, you're born with it, what you know today, you're a filmmaker. I've known you for about a few years now, right? Yeah. You know more about that problem and the world than you did 5 years ago when you started. I can't remember, about 10, you were doing this for a long time. 10 years ago when you started this, right? Yeah. You've learned.
Yes.
And you had some intuition, something that you had in you to get you started. In intellectual, now that's a very creative domain. That domain, I don't understand anything at all. I'm colorblind, I'm tone deaf, I'm like, nothing works. Like, I don't get it, right? I can tell when lines are crooked, I can instantly see it, but I don't get the creative architecture. How does it work in your brain? Right. But in technical domains, the kind of work that I'm doing, it is a structured way of thinking about how you go about solving problems. Basically, computer science is not a programming domain. Programming is the last step of computer science. And now it's being automated more and more with AI. The hard part of computer science is figuring out how do you take a complex problem and break it down and solve it and teach it to this dumb machine which knows nothing, the computer. All it knows is to turn on and turn off, right? Literally, that's it. Eventually, there's a power on, power off. That's all you get, binary. And you build everything up from that, and you're trying to convert this thing of how do you make this beautiful videos, how do I do this to that. That's the problem-solving problem. Right. And computer science is the only discipline which teaches how to solve problems. And then, so there are some mathematical behaviors, some structural things, so you can learn that. Then you do get this thing of some people are more analytically structured in their brain. Some people are more creatively structured in their brain. And so if there are enough people who are analytically structured, then it's not a question of talent. It's a question of, do you find people who can take problems and have had enough educational, okay, we're not a university, we're not teaching you this stuff. I want you to have picked that up before you come into WSO2.
Right.
So, and the answer to that is there are plenty of people who get that capacity. And then they need interesting problems. They need the right tools. They need the right environment. Yeah. To be able to go attack them, and the right orientation, right mindset, right challenge, right exposure, right, all this stuff that you need not to actually make it work.
And how many employees do you have at WSO2?
There are 800 people globally.
Yeah.
680 people here. And plus usually about another 75 to 100 interns here.
Yeah. I was going to ask, in Sri Lanka, you have a certain set of problems that I think a lot of CEOs and people that run businesses here face, that who have moved to Sri Lanka, who have come back from diaspora, that have come back. There's cultural components that you need to consider. There's, Poya days, there's holidays, there's a lot of things that come into working with people here. How have you tackled that? Because you're working international time. You're working with different teams all over the world. Yeah. How does that affect your workplace?
I don't know. We don't give any leave. Nobody works. Everybody works. No, hell no. We have people in 18 countries.
Yeah.
Right. We have a model now where our people operations team will send a mail when there's a holiday in one of these countries. Mm-hmm. We send a mail to the whole company saying this day is a holiday in that country. Mm-hmm. And we also now have this practice of explaining the holiday. Yeah. We don't say it is, because Poya days also, there are 12 Poya days and each one has significance, right? And most people, I learned it in school and I can't remember exactly each one, but I'm not a formal Buddhist, right? So I don't do the BS part of it. So again, I'm going to get in trouble for that one. That's okay. So no, please don't leave that. I don't care. So look, let me ask you, you're a creative guy.
Yeah.
If you're upset in your head, can you be creative?
If I'm upset in my head, in the sense like what?
Like something's bothering the hell out of it, right? And you're trying to do this beautiful experience. It affects your ability to create. Mm-hmm. Same thing applies for intellectual thinking. Mm. You get up in the morning, if you had a problem, you can't think, right? So the WSO2 way of working is we don't have a limit on how many days you can take off.
Yeah.
Right? You can take all the days off if you want. Now, if you do take all the days off in the year, I'm probably going to fire you.
Yeah.
Right? There are times when there's a need for you to take, maybe it's your dog is not well, or your family is not okay, or whatever. You just need the day off, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. So we don't worry about the official holiday aspect of it. Mm-hmm. My goal is everybody who works should. It's okay if I pay you to do something, you have to bring your mind and body to work. Mm-hmm. Even if I pay you to fix up this room or wire the things or whatever, the mind and body, right? Yeah. Mind is I've trained, and the body to work. But when you work, you bring more to it than that. Mm-hmm. You bring your heart and soul to it. You're passionate about it. You're purposeful. You care about it.
Yes.
So how do you create an environment where every single person is passionate and purposeful and committed?
Right.
Then you don't worry about the date. You don't worry about it's a Poya day or moon is shining, sun is shining. Here we take the day off and the moon is shining. In Seattle, you take the day off and the sun is shining because it's such a rare occurrence. Again, let's dig on Seattle there. my son and daughter both studied there, and it's like, I remember the guys who used to work in Microsoft. Some friends used to say, "Oh, if sun is shining, man, take the afternoon off and go out because it's such a rare occurrence."
Yeah.
So here it's a moonshine. It's not because it's shining, but we have actually historically that is exactly why Poya days came into existence.
Really?
And there was no electricity. Oh. How can you have a nighttime activity without lighting? Well, natural light given for you, right? That's my theory, but it's a perfectly rational theory.
It really is. Actually, now that I think about that.
If you want to do something in the night, that's the only day you can do something in the night because it's good lighting.
It is. Right? So the stories about studying under street lamps and people studying under moonlight is a real thing in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Candlelight, it's a very real thing, right? Not anymore.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka electricity deployment is pretty much 100% now.
Right.
Very, very little that doesn't have electricity. Yeah, okay. If you don't pay the bill, they cut it off. But otherwise, right? So I don't worry about, there's no, people who worry about this don't get it. Mm-hmm. And they're worrying about bringing people's mind and body to work.
Right.
They will never win world top place with that mindset. Mm-hmm. You can't pay anybody enough to care about a customer. Just the money is not the reason you care about the customer.
Right.
You can be like, I really care. I want to make sure this person had a good experience.
Right. That's fair. When I think about somebody walking into a space, I think it's a mindset shift, right? And we all come with baggage. We come with baggage that our parents have probably taught us, or your peers, or the mainstream dominant culture. Practically, what do you do? I'm sure you do this all the time. I don't know if you do it on a daily basis or if you do it like on a monthly basis. What is it that you do to help them develop their mindset for themselves? Because that is how you're actually going to grow.
Yeah. So I would say we have one fundamental rule that we try to follow in WSO2, which is treat people the way you want to be treated. So if you can put yourself on the other side, if you're yelling at somebody, sometimes you yell, right? It's part of nature. And you've been yelled at some points. If you remember the other side, then you can ask, is this okay? Because there are times when it is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes shit happens, man. You got to step up and you got to make the point. You cannot just accept it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you learn from, you only improve when you're pushed. There's a really nice video series on YouTube called Veritasium. He's a physicist who does this really thorough, experimental and sort of science-driven explanation of various things. And he goes and studies learning. Right? There's a video on what makes you learn. Because there's all this stuff, there was an era which said, but remember, learning was limited to a very tiny part of the population because learning was one-to-one.
Okay.
I learned, there was no schools of mass structure. I learned from the person who knew.
Right. Yes.
Right. So it was one-to-one.
Yeah. Like tradesmen and craftsmen. Yeah.
So then came print, Gutenberg and print. And print was like, oh, everybody's going to learn. Yeah. It's all there. Everybody can get a book. Everybody can learn. But it didn't quite change. The book wasn't enough. Then was radio. Then was TV. Now it's AI. Saying, I don't need teachers. I don't need schools. I just, ChatGPT or Gemini. ChatGPT is not as good as Gemini, by the way. Gemini, right? And Google doesn't pay me to say that. It's much better. Less woke, less bullshit, much better. I can just go to Gemini. I can learn about how to make a film. I can learn everything about
Absolutely,
it. Right? And it'll make the film for me also. I don't need you anymore. Right?
Yeah.
But so how do you learn? So this guy does a study and he eventually comes out with the effort is the algorithm. Right? It is not, it's two things actually. It's effort and it's a social environment. So because there's all this theory going on saying, why do you need to go to school? Why do you need to go to university? There's a bunch of jackasses going on in the world saying, don't send your kid to university.
Yeah.
Right. And the university, because why spend 4 years wasting time learning when you can just, learn this part in 3 weeks and go and get a job?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's completely disgusting because the people who are pushing this are the richest people in the world.
Okay.
And they are pushing it. And yet their children go to university. I'll give a good example. So Chamath Palhipitiya, lovely Sri Lankan guy.
Yeah.
Don't like him much. He knows I don't like him much. He's brilliant, very wealthy guy. He's on All In podcast.
Yeah.
They are part of this, they're Trump's right-hand team now, right? That whole lot. And they have, Peter Thiel is the one who's pushing this agenda saying don't go to university. They have a Thiel foundation, or not foundation. They have a fellowship, Thiel fellowship they give now.
Okay.
Brilliant high school kids skip university, just come and work and they pay like $100,000. And after 1 year, you pay like $100,000 salary, right? And then in the last, I don't listen to this thing anymore because it's just gone insane. But there was Tucker Carlson was there. I was hoping that because he's very intellectually honest,
right?
There'll be some more conversation. But anyway, in that one, Chamath goes on about his son, I think. He's now thinking about college and he's going to go to some big university, SEC campus, because it's for the social environment, right? So he's kind of moving away from, because they've been talking about, why do I need university? Universities are expensive. He's saying don't give student loans, right? Make student loans more difficult because, government university prices have gone up because of that, which I think that's a rational argument there. That he's quite analytically solid, right? But at the same time, his son is going to go to university, right? And so my position is absolutely you should go because it's got nothing to do with the fact that you might or might not learn something. It's about, you learn about life, you learn about other people, you spend 4 years maturing, and that's the best 4 bloody years of your life. Yeah. Because the 4 years where you have some money, not much, you have no responsibility. Yeah. You have complete freedom because you're an adult. You don't have to be listening to your parents anymore. You can get drunk or I can't say that, but I guess, but whatever, it's not anybody's business. Right. It's my business, right? And that's the best 4 years of your life or 3 years or whatever time. Because you have the relationship between freedom and responsibility is the right spot. After that, it never comes to that spot. So absolutely you should do it. Yeah. And you got your PhD at Purdue, right? Yeah. How old were you when you got it? 97, 94. Wow. I finished, yeah. That's not that, man. US numbers wise, that's perfectly, that's average. That's nothing, nothing special.
Do you still learn? Are you still teachable?
Every bloody day. Every day. Right? The day I stop being able to be open-minded and learn is the day I cannot be head of product in WSO2 nor CEO. Because
how do you keep yourself teachable though? Because
I learn, I read stuff. I'm not a book reader, but I read constantly on the internet, all kinds of stuff, contrarian views. I challenge people. I'm learning, I'm not an expert in identity access management, but I'm learning more and more about that. We had a product that's been kind of separate from mine, but I'm now sticking my nose in there and learning, trying to learn it in depth. And you have to keep learning. There's no chance. If you don't learn, you're dead.
Yeah, you don't have because I mean, just personally talking to you, you had certain views, but you're also adapting. Your views are changing as you're going.
Exactly.
The pendulum keeps swinging.
Yeah.
Why is that important for one to keep learning? And you had just mentioned something really important, like always looking at news that's contrary to what you believe in. Yeah. It's a great exercise. Yeah. But why is it so important to do that?
So I have this way of explaining it to people, saying you should. The common term is strong opinions weakly held. Mm-hmm. Right? So my version of it is a passionately dispassionate. You're passionate, you're committed, but you always have to question, I'm standing on this table. Mm-hmm. Is this table stable? Mm. Right? And I'm dancing on this table, but I must be willing to say this table might move, so I got to be able to move. If I say, this table is permanent, never going to move. When the table moves, everything bloody does. Yeah. Nothing is constant. Yeah. When it moves, you fall. Then, if you're ready for it to move, you don't fall. You move with it. Yeah. Right. So that's the mindset. Yeah. If you want to compete, WSO's purpose in life is not to win in a particular market segment or a particular technology stack. I want to build a company that can last forever. Mm. Okay. Then you cannot be fixed. Long time ago, I watched, I think it was a TED talk about what makes companies live for a long time. And this guy studies Japanese companies, because one of the Japanese companies are the ones that have been around longest. Japan is such a unique culture, right, in so many ways. And the main thing is the company's architecture has to become an evolvable architecture. Yeah. Not that it knows everything right now. Doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing about infinite thinking. There's a book called Infinite Game. It's like a book written about WSO2. It's about everything we've done, but it wrote independently, obviously, right? Yeah. The way we operate is exactly that. And we didn't read the book and do it, by the way. We figured it out. Right? Common sense. And I gave a talk at our 20th anniversary conference. My opening keynote was about that. Mm-hmm. Infinite. How do you build a company that can last forever? Mm-hmm. And the main thing is, it's like cricket. I use the analogy of cricket. Different analogy from the one I used at the TEDx talk that we were both at.
Not Sanjiva.
Yes, not Sanjiva, not that one. But it was about, the analogy was about in cricket, the goal for the Sri Lankan cricket team is not to beat the hell out of the Indian cricket team once. Yeah. It's to do it forever. Yeah. Once is fun, but it's much better if you can win it all the time. Yes. Right? Of course, it doesn't work like that. And the Indian cricket team wants to do exactly the same thing to us. Yeah. And to everybody else. So, right? So the goal in being international world-class cricket is not to win every match. Yeah. Is to be competent and capable so that people want to watch the game. Mm-hmm. You enjoy playing the game, and it's that competitive behavior that makes the match interesting. Mm-hmm. If it's one-sided, matches are boring, right? Remember when Mike Tyson, you're a young kid, you don't know. Mike Tyson was a big guy when everyone knows. Yeah, it was like 30 seconds knockout. Yeah. Right? It was a ripoff. We played 500, those days like $200. I've never watched a boxing game in my life, but I see the highlights of it. Yeah. It was like, in one round, 30 seconds knockout. Yeah. This is boring. Yeah. Right? It's much more interesting when it's like a grueling fight. Yes. Cricket matches are the same. When it goes to the last ball, it's interesting. When it gets to the last ball, it's just bloody luck or dynamic or whatever that wins. Yeah. Right? And we've had so many matches we lost in the last ball. To me, it's like, that's an awesome match. Yeah, we lost, whatever. Yeah. Win the next one, maybe. Yeah.
For me, it's refreshing to hear commitment. And there's from what I'm getting that you're saying is longevity is key, because right now what's promoted and what's social is it's about getting in, making your money, getting out.
Yeah.
But you're all about that commitment and seeing it through to the long.
Yeah. So Gartner is this analyst firm. Right? In the US, $6 billion analyst firm. Analyst firm means about various technologies. They go and read. They talk to vendors. Then they sell their knowledge to customers who are buying tech, and they say, "Well, you should buy this one. Now this one's a better one." Blah blah. Right. So very important people because they affect buyer decisions. Right. They have a thing called a hype curve. It's been around for a long time. The technology hype curve, and it basically starts at some new tech, whether it's AI or whatever the tech it is, right? Fusion energy, whatever it is. It starts at the bottom and it goes up very fast because the hype accelerates it. The hype, this is the hype curve. It's not the technology development. It's the hype curve. It just goes boom. Like everybody's like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread." Right? And then after a while, finally realize, what the hell, this shit doesn't work anymore, right? So it just falls right down. Right. And then it doesn't come, if it's not complete BS, because there are completely BS technologies. So that goes up like this. Yeah. Then it comes down, but not to the starting point, somewhere below. And this is called the top is called the peak of inflated expectations. And then it drops. It's called the trough of disillusionment. Yeah. And then it comes back up slowly to the plateau of productivity. Right. So when sorry, what was your question? I was going on off on a tangent.
It's about longevity. It's like why?
Short term versus So the way, if you know how to enter a technology when it's still on the up curve, and you know how to get off before it falls off the top, you can make a lot of money.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the goal for most people.
Yes.
Is ride the curve in this up curve. And it's not about longevity. They don't really care what is the plateau of productivity of this thing. Right. So WSO2 operates differently. We don't do that shit. We aim for the plateau of productivity. The market will catch up. Right? Because I don't want to waste your money in buying our stuff and doing nothing. Yeah. I don't want to sell you something that is not the right thing. All that stuff is free anyway. It's open source. I don't want you to waste your time. So we don't do that. We just aim for that plateau of productivity. Yeah. We don't always get it right because, we're also learning, right? Yeah. We don't know exactly where the technology is going to go. I mean, LLMs, of course, I'm completely convinced LLM is not general intelligence. So it is not that one's easy now. I mean, people are, so there are, whatever the technology, there's, so the first thing we try to do is understand the technology deeply. Okay. Not shallow, deeply. What are the fundamental things that are behind this thing? Yeah. What are the fundamental advantages, advances, changes that explains to you what it could do? Then you figure out what the plateau of productivity is. Right. So that is deep thinking. That deep thinking requires deep analytical skills, deep knowledge, deep understanding, constant learning.
Do you ever do, obviously AI has entered into the conversation many times in our industry. There's a lot of debate from Hollywood. A lot of people don't like it. We love it because it helps speed our work process and we're able to turn around a lot of our work faster and it makes our lives a lot easier, to be very honest. Yeah. From a coding perspective, how's that affected WSO2? And when you first heard about it, were you hesitant about adapting with AI or adopting AI into the company?
Yeah, so neural network stuff has been around for a long time. In my PhD thesis, there was a chapter about using neural networks to predict how to solve partial differential equations, how to select the right algorithm to solve. So it's been around for a long time. AI has had multiple resurrections and goes into a cold place. It's called AI winters.
Those hikes that you were talking about.
Yeah. It goes to, and then, so it said, neural networks, when it first came out, this is it. And then there was something called expert systems. This is it. Nothing stuck. The difference now is it is neural networks with some additional, obviously lots of research for the last 30 years. Yeah. Plus massive compute capacity. Yeah. Plus massive network speed. Yeah. Right. That's the difference now. And so, yes, it is very useful.
The server farms.
Yes. Okay. The technology has come to a point where computing is so fast. Yeah. And, they're building this massive server farms, right? Yeah. So it is absolutely useful for many, many things. But it is not is it going to take all jobs? Is it going to take various things? Look, in my view, the problem with AI is that AI is getting better than average human being. And most people are average human beings. That's the definition of being average. If you look at the bell curve, right? There are people in the front. You are on the front of creative stuff, right? You'll be fine with AI. Because for you, it's a fast, instant, better than human being in some cases, average support actor.
Absolutely.
But if you're one of the average support actors, you're screwed. So that is why there's opposition to AI. And it's a legitimate opposition to AI. So I think governments have to be very careful how you support the deployment of technology that disrupts everything. So for example, I think in China, in some city, China is very far thinking about these things. They are going to control how fast self-driving vehicles will be allowed to replace taxis.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah. Because how many taxi drivers are there in Sri Lanka? There are 2 million trucks. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So there's a million, so now imagine self-driving in Sri Lanka. We don't worry about it for a while, right? Our driving is artful driving. So no problem.
That's really good.
But like US and China, all these countries, truck drivers, there are 3.4 million truck drivers in the US. Absolutely possible to self-drive. I mean, actually several companies have it now on the highways at least, right?
Yep.
The last mile, they're still hesitant, but they'll get there. So if you look at it purely from a capitalist point of view, it's a hell of a lot easier to have this damn software drive it.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay $7,500 a year for a truck driver. No union, no bathrooms, no complaints. It just works.
Yeah.
Right? So from a pure capitalist point of view, the faster you can deploy self-driving, the more money you will make. From a human point of view, those 3.4 million people will be out of jobs.
Yeah.
And this theory that, you can just retrain, go find some other job, is bullshit. It doesn't work. Beyond a point, you can't retrain people like that. You can't change their trajectory. Right? You can't retrain me to be a film person.
Right.
No hope. Right? I'm colorblind, so it doesn't work. Right? You can't retrain me to be a biology person.
Yeah.
Too late. My neurons are wired too much now. I'm old.
It's such an interesting debate because I feel like, obviously you don't want people to be out of jobs and you want to help the current infrastructure. But if Sri Lanka was to adopt this in a larger scale, if you had complete control over this, how would you implement AI and how would you restructure our education system with AI?
So again, that video, Effort is the Algorithm by Veritasium on YouTube. It's really worth watching, right? If you are interested in education. AI as a tool, everybody should learn. It's like computing as a tool, everybody should learn, right? No question. What the danger with using AI for education is that the effort part goes away. Now I don't have to write the bloody essay.
Right.
Right. I assume when you were in school, you had to write essays.
We had to write essays.
Yes. I had in my school, I had to write an essay every week. There was an essay, at least 1 year. There was some teacher who was like stuck on bloody essays. And a goddamn essay every week, right? So fine, we write an essay, but there was effort.
Yeah.
Now if I write an essay, how long will it take? Tell me what you may write an essay about. 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Right, 30 seconds. ChatGPT is very slow. Gemini is fast.
Second in trouble for Gemini.
Right? And I don't have any stock in Google. I don't know. They just said there are deeper reasons which I will not get into. This cause more problems.
Got it.
So look, that eliminates effort. If you eliminate effort, you lose learning. If you adopt AI in that way, you are finished because the next generation of thinkers will not come out of the system anymore. And in a way, that is what, again, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist.
I love it.
That is what, if you are in power, that's what you want. Because if everybody bloody learns, it's a damn pain to deal with you.
Yes.
Everybody's dumb. It's very easy to deal with you.
Yes.
Right? Just give you some food, you shut up and wait.
Easier to shepherd sheep. Yeah.
Easier to shepherd sheep, right? So the best thing to do to make people not think and critically analyze problems is use AI. It does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I won't learn how to do it. Until I understand how something works, to me, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Once I understand, I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's just this, LLMs are bullshit. There's nothing to it. It's symmetric multiplication.
Yeah.
I mean, what it achieves is amazing, but the fundamentals. So if you don't understand the fundamentals about something, it's magical, right? Magic is dangerous because magic is, it's like, I don't worry about it. Just magic happens here.
Yeah.
So I don't like magic. So for me, education, if you put AI into education to replace the effort, to allow the student to replace the effort, it's deadly. So now for exams, people are stopping like interviews saying, face to face, because I don't know if I give you homework, is being done by AI.
Mhm.
And now there's new AI that'll just write the homework in your handwriting,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
It's just straightforward now.
Mm.
In your handwriting, how am I going to check? And it'll, and there are these, printers that'll make it look exactly like that.
Yeah.
So homework is useless now because the whole point of homework was, you remember when you're old enough to have old technology, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like you had to look at the damn thing and do the homework. You had to read it. You had to go to some extra work and figure out how this problem works and do it.
Yeah.
Now there's another model, same, Gemini or whatever, anybody can do it. You take an exam paper and it'll write the answers in your handwriting on that exam paper. Take a picture of the exam paper and you can print it out, right? So homework, question set is now instant.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you'll get an A or whatever the nonsense you'll get, but you won't learn anything. Effort is the algorithm.
Yeah. We've forgotten the purpose of why we have those practices. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Something interesting you said, like lottery mentality is magic, right?
Yeah.
Like lottery mentality is like, oh, one day if I win, I get to get the car, the house, everything that I want. And that's lottery mentality. Because you don't understand the nuances and the schematics of how to get to these goals that you have in life. And I know this is pretty obvious, but obviously you have, I would say you are a massive success in your industry and you're leading Sri Lanka in this space, but you're so humble. Like everyone that's met you in person, there's so much humility that you have with your knowledge with certain things too, even the way you live life. And just a while ago, you entertained the idea of becoming an Uber driver. Do you still do it, by the way?
Yeah, I have to register this new car I got registered, but yes, I'm going to do it again after I register it. Yes.
So here you are, acquisition $600 million. And then you're also Uber driving. Why is that? Why?
Because it's to make a point. In that particular case, it's about Sri Lanka. So, I think we started talking about leaving the country and going to foreign countries and so on, right? So Sri Lanka, if you ask the average person on the street, a lot of people will tell you, Rata Annone, I want to go abroad. Yeah. Right? Especially people who are kind of struggling to get a direction. Because it's a magical thing. You go outside and everything's going to be better. Yeah. Right? And they go outside, they work a lot harder than you're here too. Yes. That's the other weird part. But one of the reasons, so again, think deeply. Why are they saying that? So there are many reasons. One is they don't have economic opportunity. They don't have the financials. They don't have the support. They don't have the family. There are hundreds of reasons, right? But one of them is the following. So my father, he passed away in 2018. My father was in the army. He was a career army officer. And whenever he used to go to pay even the electricity bill, he would go there and he would wear a tie and go. And his, shoes with, we used to call them tuk shoes because they had this in those days, in 1970s and so forth. Yeah. You got booths made for you. You go to this. There was a place in Valuat area. There was some place. Yeah. Cool. Something boot works. I've forgotten the name. Yeah. And then at the bottom of it, they put like a metal strip on. So when you walk, go tuk, 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 like that, right? Okay. He would walk in there wearing the tie and pay the bill, right? And then the environment there respects you as, this is a distinguished person, right? Some dude shows up in a sarong or long hair, right? And torn shirt. They'll be like, hey, Mogo, why are you here? Right? It won't be, sir, how can I help you? Yeah. Right? You go in the US, you go in New Zealand, you go in Australia, they won't do that. You're in your, torn t-shirt and ripped sarong. Yeah. Or you're in your tie and whatever the hell it is, it's still, sir, can I help you? Yes. The reason is we are programmed over, my belief is because of colonialism more than anything else, and some of our cultural traits, to look down on people on various categories. So I'm driving over to make a point, and the guy who drives the car doesn't have to be somebody lesser than you. Yes. Just to point out that, why do you look at the driver? And because, you go to a restaurant, would you sit with the driver at the restaurant if you're buying them a thing? Most places don't, right? Yeah. A tourist goes with the driver. You can see at any of the, whatever the place in Ambepussa. When you stop, the tourist who's going on the trip is sitting with the driver at the table. Yeah. Sri Lankans go on the trip, the driver is in their own table. Yes. Yeah. Right? Why? You come to WSO2, Whether it's a cleaning crew, it's the CEO, the chairman of the company, the Swedish guy, or anybody. We use the same bathrooms, we use the same plates, we sit at the same tables, we eat from the same buffet line. No difference.
Nice.
Right. So that is what the reason for driving. It's not, I don't need that money. And fucking Uber doesn't pay. Sorry, pardon my French. Their amounts are so ridiculous. Right. They take 25%. And I wrote a blog I've written multiple blogs about my Uber stuff, right? So it's not the money. People are doing it because that's the access to the market. You don't have a choice. They have a lock, right? And they don't pay any taxes in Sri Lanka, by the way.
Oh, really?
Right? They don't pay any taxes in Sri Lanka, even now. The Pick Me has to, they don't. Because they operate out of, with Chuck, if you use a credit card, check where it's being built from, not from Sri Lanka. That's
somewhere
how they
Europe, right?
Yeah. Netherlands. Right? That's the goal. Is to break this stuff, because that's one of to me, the fact that you're not. So if you're a lower class, if you're a taxi driver in Sri Lanka, you walk into a bank, they'll try to screw you, right? They will treat you badly. I can tell you, bank. I had somebody who's working in my house who I gave some money to when she left. And she had money in the money was in savings account. I was like, put into a bloody fixed deposit. You get some money. Right. And so she went to the bank after telling her, she went to the bank to do it. And the bank officials told her, you can put it in a fixed deposit, but if you have an emergency, you can't take it out. It's completely lie. Of course you can take it out. It's your bloody money. You can take it out anytime you want. You might not get all the interest, but you can take it out anytime you want. Right. So they screw lower level people. They wouldn't tell that to me. To me, it'll be like, they know I can negotiate the interest rate. I learned, I was in the board of Sampath Bank for a while. I learned that banks, I thought that, there's a conversion rate for USD to LKR. There's an interest rate. Nothing is fixed. It's only for the average person.
So good.
Everything else is negotiated. Right? You can demand whatever you want. And because if you don't give it to me, I go to the other bank. Simple. Right? That's how it works. Now I'm in a position to be able to do that because of, I earned some money from the company, right? But the average person is treated very badly. You go to the US, they're treated less bad. On the banks, they screw you anyway across the world, right? But they don't say, "Ay mokadu." Why are you here? They're like, "Sir, how can I help you?" That dignity is the biggest thing for me as to why people want to leave the country. We got to break that. So really I can't fix it myself, but start somewhere, right?
That's really good. Wow. I never really thought about that. And you're bringing dignity to the service industry because whenever people travel to Sri Lanka, right? We talk about amazing hospitality. We talk about from the tourist perspective. It's like, we're doing so well, but still behind that, it's still looked down on if you're from Sri Lanka, if you live here. And we are allowing foreign entities to run things and look down on us, right? There are restaurants, there are cafes where we can't go into. In Sri Lanka, what the hell? Yes.
Because of these things. Because we look down on ourselves, so they're like, might as well look down on them too, right? So there are people who do this. I won't name any interesting countries particularly, but I'm in enough trouble already.
The trouble marker went up to 12. Service industry and serving, right? It's such an important thing for me. When you work at an organization, there's a heart to serve, and there's a lot of people don't understand the value of, because you were talking about enjoying what you do, loving what you do, having that heart is so important. But that is something that you have to experience and you have to learn for yourself, because I can't tell somebody to be like, hey, you really have to love what you do. You have to have the heart to serve. Because either you're taught that at a young age from your parents to serve, or you have a really good mentor. But for the folks that don't have that, why is it important for you to be able to serve a company that you're working for?
It's not service. I would say the question you're asking, in my view, is how do you teach passion and purpose? How do you get somebody to be passionate and purposeful about whatever they're doing? It's service industry, writing code, answering a customer question, cleaning the table, right? Or putting the alignment of things. How do you get passionate? Because like you there's a difference when wires are lined up. It's like, okay, it doesn't really matter. The bloody wire will transmit signal anyway. But when they're lined up, it shows that they have professionalism, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get that?
Yeah.
So first thing in my view is there are two things. The environment has to do some stuff. You have to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. The environment, first of all, has to encourage that and support that.
Yes.
Right. So and there's this thing about practice what you preach, right?
Yeah.
I prefer the reverse version of it. Preach what you practice.
Yes.
Right. Because practice what you preach is like telling yourself, I got to do this better, right? But it's better to preach what you practice. Like when if I sit up in a certain way, okay, I can sit up that way.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, like I have to improve myself too. Like then it's actually a fake statement.
Right.
So if you come to WSO2 and I don't have an office in WSO2. We have open tables. I also have a table, right? You come to WSO2, if I have an office because I'm the CEO, everybody else has open tables. It's not genuine, right? Then that mindset doesn't go into people saying, this is not bullshit. This is real, right? So first thing is be real.
Yeah.
If you're not real, don't expect other people to put their heart and soul into it. You're asking, how do I convert from mind and body to get heart and soul? So why do you get passionate about something? Why do you fall in love with something, right? Someone is more complicated. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Something you're doing, your creativity aspect or whatever.
There's purpose.
Yeah, there's purpose. How do you get that?
Yeah.
So some part of it has to come from things you actually, that's where your heart and soul is. You're different from me.
Yeah.
Right. And then the rest of the guys who are in this room, they are different. Everybody has their own thing. Yeah. They are really kind of born into some extent. Right. Not completely born into, because the environment shapes us.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't become passionate about something I can't compete in.
Yeah.
So it has to be something I can do properly. Then I can only become passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I think, first thing is, see whether the alignment of the person and the thing you're trying to do are aligned. Some people really don't give a shit about being nice to people.
Yeah.
That person is not a good customer service representative or a waitress or a waiter or a driver, because they just don't care.
Yeah.
Right? And why do they care? I have two questions I always think about for anything. One is why, the other is and then what. Why is asking backwards, and then what is asking forward. I'm here, right? Why am I here? How did I get here? And you ask that multiple times to get to the root cause. If you really want to change anything, solve the root problem. Then it will over time fix things, right? And then what is, okay, if I do this, then what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. Like if you play chess, I'm not a very good chess player. I'm not good at any sports, but like to be a really good chess player, you need to look 3, 4. I do this, you do this, I do this, you do that. I'm going to get you here. So I'm going to do this, right? And if I do this, you don't have many options. You have to do one of these two things. This is how AI first beat people in chess. Compute more than you can compute. Yeah. Right. I mean, I'm simplifying it. I'm disrespecting Deep Blue that beat Kasparov, but IBM Deep Blue. So I think the idea of, okay, how do you get a person in the service industry to be passionate? Yeah. First of all, the environment, you pay them fairly. Yes. I mean, hey, you pay them shit and you expect them to deliver gold. Yeah. It doesn't work, right? Do you respect them? Yeah. Does the organization, I have this foundation called Avine Foundation, right? We're taking this sort of bottom of the pyramid kids and trying to get them some path. Yeah. First batch of students, we had 120 students. About 50 of them went to one particular hotel chain. I won't name the hotel chain because it's not them only, it's the industry. Right. And when you're at the bottom of the pyramid of that hotel service industry, you're treated like shit, right? Okay, that's true about most industries. When you're at the bottom of the pyramid of any job, you are the worker bee. You are the lowest rung. You can't push work down to anybody else. Right. So all the stuff comes to you, right? And one cab driver I was talking to said he had gone to hotel school, which is a high quality training experience, 3-year hotel school program. He was interning at a brand name hotel, right? One of the top tier hotels. And he said, he was talking Sinhalese. He said, Mahatya, එළියේ restaurant එකේ ඉන්නකොට hina වෙලා කතා කරනවා. The more, when you're outside in the restaurant, moment you walk through the swing door into the kitchen, they're like, Ado balla, right? You dog, kind of, like just like, because he's the entry level guy. Yeah. Right. So that you think that I'm going to become passionate about serving? If you treat me like that, hell no. Right. So that entire culture in that organization, so culture matters. Culture is what I experience.
Yeah.
Right. If you're going to treat me like shit and you're expecting me to treat my customers, our customers nicely because you're treating me shit, I will do what I can, but it's not because I feel it.
Yeah.
It's because I have to.
That's so good. One of the coolest things that I learned from you, sometimes you just have to move. And when you're in an organization and you have, obviously you consult with your peers, consult with your board, you told me that sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah. All the time. Right? Kids do this, right? When you're a child, you never ask permission from your parents about doing something.
Yeah.
That's what makes children amazing. Because they haven't learned, they haven't been broken.
Yeah.
I treat it as broken. It's like, if you see a dog in the Western world, they're very well disciplined. You come to see my dogs. I have 6 dogs. They'll bark the hell out of you. Right? And my neighbors love me. So but look, they're dogs.
Yeah.
So they do. So I can break them. Okay, I haven't broken them. And my neighbors would have preferred if I broke them.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, I think if your dogs bark too much, they remove the vocal cords.
Oh, wow.
If your neighbors complain, I think it's New Zealand. I'm pretty sure New Zealand, Australia, one of the 2 countries.
Okay.
The state can order to remove the vocal cords. They go, and bark, but nothing comes out.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it does to the dog? Poor guy's like some IO error, like output comes, no input on the ears.
Yeah.
Right?
Confuses them.
This is so asking for forgiveness instead of permission. Kids don't ask for permission. They don't ask for forgiveness, but the point is they just do.
Yeah.
So organizations are terrible. So I have 2 reasons. One is you constrain people doing stuff.
Yes.
The other is when I ask you for your permission, I'm implicitly passing the responsibility of my action to you. Hey, you said I can walk on this wall. I fell down. Now you told me I can walk on the wall, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't ask you for that, you can yell at me. What the hell are you doing, you idiot? Don't walk on the wall.
Yeah.
So this is a CYA behavior in organizations.
Yes.
It's very easy. I just ask you for permission for everything. Right? Organizations and the worst ones are boards. It starts at the top. I don't ask my board for any permission. I hope they're not listening to this. But right. Look, my thing is, I'm going to do what I think is right. Obviously there are some legal boundaries you don't cross, right?
Right.
You don't want to go to jail. So there's some things that board has to approve. They have to approve, right? But if I ask for permission, I'm basically saying, okay, shall we make this product? Or, shall we do this marketing campaign? Effectively, what it's doing is asking them for their blessing, which means they approved it, which means if it doesn't work, hey, we all agreed, right? We all approved it. It's not because I didn't do the right thing. Yeah. If I just do it, if it goes wrong, then I can say, hey, we ran a campaign, spent $2 million on it, didn't work. Yeah. Right? I don't ask for forgiveness. I say, okay, well, we are doing this thing so that it'll work better, right? Yeah. That's the big difference. So asking for permission is one of the biggest reasons you're basically decapitating the person when you say, don't do anything till you get my permission. Yeah. Right. And what I'm not understanding is when I do that, I'm taking all the responsibility. I don't want any responsibility. I'd rather everybody else have the responsibility. Yeah. So my thing is don't ask me, just do whatever you want. Yeah. If you keep screwing up, you're not going to survive very long. Right. It's so true in some industries, like even with marketing and, taking those steps, sometimes you just have to keep trying different things and just until it sticks. And then you found some sort of rhythm. I remember one of the fun projects that we worked on was at that time, this is when the Cybertruck wasn't even available to the public. WSO2 was the first company to give away a Cybertruck after a coding challenge, the first ever. And this was a Sri Lanka company giving away a Tesla Cybertruck. And somebody from Germany won the coding challenge, if I'm not mistaken. Did they actually take? He took the money though. He took the money. $100,000 in a Cybertruck. I think you couldn't get it into Germany. That was one. Gotcha. Yeah, because now they're all over the place. Because we found the truck before it you guys struggled to find the truck, right? It was a Tesla employee that actually we connected with, and then he was able to in a vineyard. Drive that truck. Which was awesome. Again, for me, the significance was that a Sri Lankan company was the first to give away a Cybertruck. The only person out before that was Dana White from the UFC. Yeah. And it wasn't even the organization, it was him. And so for a Sri Lankan company to be the first to do it was just a huge milestone and a win, a cultural win, I would say. Yeah, and that video that you did with the Sri Lankan dancers on top, yeah, it was kind of, again, juxtaposition of completely, one is a mechanical, weird looking, looks like Elon's chest or whatever the hell it is, beast, and the other one is this elegant, female dancing on this thing, right? So from an Asian culture.
Yes.
So again, you try things and you want to. I mean, marketing, I don't claim we know how to market. I think marketing is still too much voodoo and black magic. I mean, there's all the technical stuff for marketing, of course, right? But there's an art form of marketing, which is an art form. Mm-hmm. Art form means it's not just copy. Mm-hmm. And by the time all the marketing gurus, all the things, write the blog saying this is how you do it, it's too late, because when everybody does the same thing, the market is saturated. Yeah. If everybody does content marketing, we started doing content marketing. 2005, right? The term didn't exist. We don't claim to have invented it because we're not marketing. It made sense. We built a product. How do I tell people? Let's write some articles. Let's tell people how to use it. Tell people how to download, how to do this, how to do various things with it. That's what content marketing is. And then we put it up on the web and people, searched and found it. Yeah. Okay. But now everybody does it. Yeah. And now all the crap is generated by AI. Now it's completely gone. Yes. So we wrote a blog recently saying no content we publish will be written by AI. That's awesome. Right? That blog was generated by AI, but no, I'm kidding. Because come on, anybody can generate AI content. Yeah. And it's garbage. Yeah. I mean, it's not garbage. It's good stuff. But I don't need to generate it and save it. It's a matter of writing a prompt. Yeah. And if everybody just does that, it becomes like kind of just, where's the human aspect of it? Where's the judgment call? Because LLMs cannot judge. Yeah. They just repeat what's memorized in a beautiful way. Yeah. You believe that AI right now is in this spike that you were talking about earlier, and there will be a dip down, that it will drop at some point? Oh, yeah. It's going to blow. Bubble's going to blow. It's going to be ugly. There'll be US government bailouts for their favorite companies. It's crazy. I mean, there are, Orca stock has already taken the hit, right? So they put $100 billion in a circular dance act, and their market cap went up by $300 billion. Larry Ellison, I reduced my political commentary, became one of the richest or second richest guy in the world or something in that few weeks. And now it's kind of taken time because that money doesn't exist. It's all bullshit. Yeah. There's so much of bullshit in that. Circular, Financial Times has written a bunch of articles about, how the 100 billion here, 100 billion there, and there's like a nice little closed loop. So it's not actual. Yeah. It's completely bullshit. So yes, it will absolutely blow the current. So when it blows, remember .com blew, right? Yes. But at the same time, remember .com, again, you're too young for it. 2001, right? Yes. When .com blew up. Alive. You were alive. Okay. You were alive at least. That's good. There was pets.com and all this .com for everything. Yes. None of them had an actual product or viable marketplace. But now we actually have all of that stuff. Yes. Yeah. Right. Every single .com blow up is an actual company now. And they're big companies, they're doing well. Yeah. So there was value there, but just the wrong way, wrong place, wrong hype. Yeah. So, when AI does blow, it doesn't mean this kind of generative artificial intelligence is bad. It just means that the hype is not proportional to reality. Right. So it'll come down and then find that plateau of productivity. Nice. If you use our stuff, we are aiming for that already. Nice. As always. I love that. If you were to give one piece of advice to, and I'm not saying this from a place of like young people from Sri Lanka should not travel abroad and retain themselves, like keep themselves here. I think you should go abroad, study, and then come back. Like if you were to give them one piece of advice to keep an open mind and look at the potential of Sri Lanka, what would you tell them? So there's an organization called Work in Sri Lanka. Yes. Which I was part of forming in 2013. We just had an event on Wednesday, which is basically giving information and support and guidance to people who want to move to Sri Lanka. Yeah. Right. So if somebody wants to come to Sri Lanka, first of all, this is the least crazy country in the world now. That's true. Most of the countries that people usually go to, which is typically Western countries, have gone nuts. Yeah. Right. Whether it's immigration, whether it is, whatever, right? Every single part of it has gone nuts now. So that's one. It's safe country. Your kids are not going to get shot going to school or in school here. Sri Lanka was ranked number one in the safest place for single female travelers last year or this year, some time ago, right? So there are the fundamentals of Sri Lanka are really, really good. Sri Lanka, we had a customer, not a customer, investor of ours who used to come to Sri Lanka from Cisco. They had a big facility in India, and every time he would come, he'd like, Sri Lanka is like the Switzerland of India, was his way of putting it, right? And so we have so many things going right. And yes, we've had our stories. We're a fun place. We go up and down too. We ride the hype curve.
Yeah.
But we are now we've had, so actually Indrajit Kumaraswamy was on a panel at that event, and he pointed out the current IMF program was started with Gotabaya Rajapaksa going to the IMF to get it started, Ranil Wickremesinghe getting it sorted, and AKD continuing it.
Right.
So we have three completely different political ideologies supporting one program. Never happened before. We've had a massive, disaster in the country with the cyclone that hit, right? 500 plus people dead, another 500 still missing or more probably. And yet we can handle it now. We actually have a primary surplus. We have money in the bank to pay for stuff, and we're getting a lot of help as well, right? So we are in a great place looking forward. Yeah. That's short term forward. If you look long term, this is the Asian century. Asian century means China and India. We are like next to India, and we are close relation with China. Actually, but if that's the next 50, 100 years, if you look beyond that, the world is centered around China, India, which is Asia, which is about 3.54 billion people in that segment. Africa, which is another 1.5 billion people. Sri Lanka is smack in the middle of all of that. Yeah. So you want to bet on the future, this is the place.
That's so good. I love that. It's so inspiring and just fires me up. I really appreciate you taking the time today. And God knows your schedule with the way you travel and the up and down, like you're in the West for like 24 hours or 36 hours and you're back here already, which is insane. Again, a lot of people, I wish they could understand how you operate and how you function every day. We're just super grateful that you're here today to share your thoughts and bestow some wisdom to us. And we're happily here absorbing it. I'm no expert. So thank you so much, Sanjiva. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Always fun to chat with you.
Awesome.